NASCAR grants Bobby Allison one more race win more than 50 years after the fact. And who are the best remaining free agents? Let's discuss. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. In 1971, Bobby Allison crossed the finish line first at Bowman Gray Stadium. He was given the trophy. He was awarded the prize money, but he was never credited as the official race winner. This was the one NASCAR race throughout its 76-year history without a race winner on record. That changed this afternoon. NASCAR has now granted Bobby Allison the win in that 1971 Grand National event. This gives the NASCAR Hall of Famer 85 career Cup Series wins, moving him into fourth place on the all-time wins list, breaking a tie with Darrell Waltrip. Boy, I wonder how he's feeling right now. Zach Albert on NASCAR.com writes, NASCAR CEO and Chairman Jim France and Vice Chairman Mike Helton visited Allison on Wednesday to inform him of the recognition. The conversation about restoring that victory gained momentum with this past summer's release of the 2025 Cup schedule, which moved the annual Clash exhibition to Bowman Gray Stadium. 1971, 53 years ago. Gosh, guess it took that long to get his car through post-race tech. In all seriousness, the original controversy stemmed from Allison driving a Grand American car in a Grand National race. At the time, NASCAR was allowing both cars to compete in select events. Bowman Gray was one of those events, but after Bobby Allison won, a lot of the Grand National drivers expressed frustration. That's why NASCAR compromised, granting Allison the trophy and the money, but not crediting him as the winner. It's interesting because Richard Petty finished second in that race. So if for whatever reason they had disqualified Bobby Allison, Richard Petty would have 201 career wins. That's not what happened though. Petty still sits at 200 race wins. Allison now is at 85. He trails only Petty, David Pearson, and Jeff Gordon on the all-time wins list. That's pretty crazy. Wild news. Didn't expect a Bobby Allison win in the year 2024, but that's a pretty cool story. Before we get to the rest of this episode, gotta thank our sponsor, Opti-Coat. Jason recently stopped by to show me what Opti-Coat is capable of.
Hey, this is Jason with Opti-Coat, Optimum Polymer Technologies. Happy to be part of NASCAR and do some sponsorship. Was talking with Eric and he invited me out because he wasn't sure exactly what ceramic coating was all about. So I came out here and ceramic coated his car. We did the Optimum No Rinse, the Optimum Power Wheel and Tire. We did a one-step polish and compound with our Hyper Compound and finished that off with the Opti-Coat Pro. This is a permanent coating, does not have to be reapplied. Watch this. You don't think that'll help keep your car clean? Nothing will.
Let's talk NASCAR silly season, or at least what's left of it. There are still several key pieces left on the board. The 2311 Racing front row lawsuit against NASCAR may not be settled or decided on for months, if not years, but some of the ripple effects are being felt right now. Months ago, long before this lawsuit ever came to be, Riley Herbst was heavily rumored to be joining 2311 Racing in a third full-time car. But as things currently stand, 2311's charters will expire at the end of this year, unless A, they reach a new deal with NASCAR, unlikely, or B, a federal judge grants their injunction next month. The result of all this uncertainty is that Riley Herbst's 2025 plans are currently on hold. He wouldn't go into many details when asked this past weekend about his NASCAR future, but he did say this. Quote, I think there's a lot of things holding back the dominoes to fall, and I'm not the first one to initiate the fall of the dominoes, so I'll leave it at that. Hopefully everything will sort itself out here shortly, but I don't see anything happening in the meantime. Riley Herbst is a solid driver. He brings funding wherever he goes. Whether he joins 2311 or not remains to be seen. But this could spark a larger silly season conversation. Who are the best free agents still available? I've got my top 6. Let me know in the comments if you agree. Beginning with Riley Herbst. Riley is good, don't get me wrong. He brings funding, of course, but only 2 Xfinity Series wins in 5 full-time seasons and good equipment. I'm sorry, that doesn't put him in the same category as some of the drivers we're about to discuss, like Corey LaJoie. I know everyone's down on Corey, but the guy has many years of Cup Series experience, and don't look now, but since joining Rick Ware Racing, he looks a lot better. He looks way more comfortable in the number 51 than he did in the number 7. Who predicted that? I did. In his 4 Rick Ware Racing starts, Corey LaJoie has finished 18th, 15th, he blew a motor at the Roval, and then 14th. 18th, 15th, and 14th. That's pretty damn good. Great chance Corey LaJoie sticks with Rick Ware Racing full time next season, though that has not been announced just yet. That's why he's on this list. If LaJoie ends up in a good truck, for example, I think he could contend for some wins. Corey LaJoie has years of Cup experience that shouldn't be ignored. LaJoie at 5. But just ahead of him in my rankings here, Ryan Preece. Another guy that a lot of fans are down on, but guys, Ryan Preece can drive. He's won multiple Xfinity races in select starts. He's won multiple truck races in select starts. He's never been in a good Cup car. JTG Doherty was not good equipment back in the day, and Stuart Haas? You're kidding me, right? Kevin Harvick went winless in Ryan Preece's first Stuart Haas season. He joined Stuart Haas at the start of their downfall. He's ahead of Josh Berry in points right now. Just saying. The guy can absolutely drive, but like anyone, he needs to be in a good situation. Hopefully he finds a good situation next year. Ryan Preece at 4. At number 3, no one's talking about Chandler Smith. Other than, obviously, he's in contention for the Xfinity Series championship, but nobody's talking about his future. Joe Gibbs Racing just signed William Sawalich, Taylor Gray, Brandon Jones. Is there room for Chandler Smith next season? Is he getting quietly pushed out? He's only 22 years old, but he has truck experience, a couple full years of Xfinity experience now. He's got 2 wins this season. I just mentioned he's a legit championship contender. I think Chandler Smith is good. I just don't know what his path from here looks like. There's not much room at Joe Gibbs Racing. 2311's lineup appears to be set. Maybe Legacy, but they just signed Eric Jones to an extension. Maybe that's still his most likely path. Either way, it's going to come down to timing, what's available, and funding. Chandler Smith has had a lot of funding up to this point in his career. Does he have enough funding behind him to potentially take that next step? That's what remains to be seen. But he's good. Chandler Smith, number 3. Top 2 free agents still available, in my opinion. Corey Heim, another 22-year-old who this year in trucks has 6 wins over the last 2 truck seasons. He has an average finish of like 7th. He also has 3 Xfinity top 5s this year in select starts with Sam Hunt Racing. This kid is for real. He's another Toyota driver, so what's his path? I'm not sure. He did sign a deal earlier this year to be both 2311 and Legacy Motor Club's reserve/sim driver, so maybe that's his most likely path, but we just talked about it with Chandler Smith. There still aren't that many seats available. Wherever he ends up, Corey Heim is legit. I think he has a bright future in this sport. Corey Heim at 2, but my number 1 free agent is Zane Smith. It's been 15 races since that 2nd place run at Nashville, and during that span, Zane Smith has an average finish of 15.9. That's really good. That's almost 2 positions better than Joey Logano's average finish this season, and Joey Logano just advanced to the championship 4. Zane Smith has turned his rookie year around in a big way. It's like at some point over the summer, a switch flipped. He's 25 years old. He's a Truck Series champion. I'm a big Corey Heim fan, but I think you could argue that right now, Zane Smith is the most ready to contend of any of the drivers on this list. Let me know down in the comments below if you agree or disagree with my top 6 right here. Finally, before we wrap things up today, NASCAR heads to Homestead Miami Speedway this weekend, where Christopher Bell is the defending Cup race winner. I was reading a Racer.com article by Kelly Crandall. I'll link the full piece down in the description below. There was one quote from Kyle Larson that jumped out at me that I'd like to share. Larson this past weekend said of Christopher Bell, quote, Him and his team are super strong, and they've been doing a great job the last 3 years or whatever it's been. I've raced with Christopher for so long that I know how good he is. He's just a quiet, smooth person, a smooth racer, and for whatever reason, he's flown under the radar his whole NASCAR career, I feel like. There we go again, Christopher Bell flying under the radar. Christopher Bell dominated the Las Vegas race, finished second. He's plus 42, headed to Homestead, looking to advance to his third straight championship. Look, we all agree that Joe Gibbs Racing is one of the best 2 or 3 organizations in Cup, right? So how can a Joe Gibbs Racing driver truly be underrated or under the radar? I say that. I guess Hendrick Motorsports is also one of the top teams in the Cup Series, and a lot of people seem to overlook Alex Bowman. So maybe it is possible that Christopher Bell is overlooked, is underrated. Y'all know me, I was a big fan of the former driver of the DeWalt number 20 car, and he was known for being somewhat understated, under the radar, and some may have even suggested underrated. So I do feel I'm qualified to have this discussion. I dug up some stats earlier today. Let's compare Christopher Bell, the past 3 seasons since the next gen car was introduced, to his Joe Gibbs Racing teammates. It's tough to get the headlines when your teammates are Denny Hamlin, always outspoken, and Martin Truex Jr., a former Cup champion. So let's see if statistically Bell measures up to his future Hall of Fame teammates. Oh wow. So he's tied for the most wins. He has the most top 5s by far the best average finish, most pole awards, and he's the only Gibbs driver to make it to the championship 4 in this car. In fact, he's done it twice. Christopher Bell is still young, so if we compared his career to Hamlin and Truex's career, he doesn't have the same body of work, at least not yet, but over the past 3 seasons, I think the data proves it. Christopher Bell is the best driver at Joe Gibbs Racing right now. The 20 team is the best Joe Gibbs Racing entry. I know numbers aren't everything, but they're something, and these numbers aren't even close. Maybe Kyle Larson is right. Maybe the media is right. Maybe Christopher Bell is overlooked. Because with numbers like this, compared to some of the best in the business, he should be getting a ton of attention. I did my part. I picked him to win the championship this season. I'm standing by it. But by and large, I don't think Christopher Bell is getting quite the credit he seems to have earned. And I don't know why that is, because it's not like Christopher Bell is quiet and soft-spoken. No, he'll give you some snippy sound bites. He was featured in the Netflix show last year. He's not camera shy. Why does Christopher Bell, with numbers like that, get overlooked more often than not? I don't quite get it, but hopefully this video helps shed some light on just how impressive C. Bell, Adam Stevens, and that whole team have been the past few seasons. Those numbers I just showed you, that's not like a 1-year sample size, that's a 3-year sample size. Christopher Bell has quietly taken over Joe Gibbs Racing, and I don't think enough fans and media, for that matter, are talking about it. Maybe if he advances to his 3rd straight championship 4, maybe wins it finally this year, maybe then finally the narrative will catch up with the results. Anyway, I just found those numbers honestly startling, so I figured I'd share them with you guys and talk a little more about it. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more NASCAR content day in, day out, all year long. Big thank you to my very generous Patreon supporters as well. Couldn't do this show without your support. Groovy Hollow is less than a week away. This coming Tuesday, October 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I'll be streaming live. It's my annual Halloween-themed iRacing event. You can still order the diecast, the Halloween machine. These are in stock, ready to ship. Head to groovyhollowraceway.com to find out all the event information and to maybe order one of these diecasts for yourself. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, folks. I will talk to you again soon.